Friday. I'm coming to you live. My name is Stuart Brisgell from the Aventura Corporate Center and my great colleague, David Solomon, coming from Montreal, Quebec. And in a true tradition, as we started a couple of weeks ago, we are now going to talk about an issue that we haven't quite planned. And I'm going to let her rip without 10 seconds. Today, I'm going to rant on the illustrious AOC. As you can see her with her lip sucking, scum sucking, dirtbag, anti Semitic, disgusting human being in the world. In fact, she is so disgusting that this woman is literally in violation of the U.S. Constitution because she claims to be supporting organizations that are requesting death to Israel. She supports Hamas. She supports these organizations without any checks and balances. But let's understand where this person came from. Her name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's born in 1989, and we call her by an acronym of AOC. She's in the U.S. House of Representatives and represents New York State's 14th Congressional District. What moron in New York voted for this anti-Semitic, racist scumbag? It doesn't matter what her political party affiliation is, because scumbags exist in all parties. But this one is a very special woman. This woman needs to be taken out of politics. And I ask anyone in New York City's 14th district, you need to recall this woman. In fact, yesterday, she is presenting a resolution that opposes providing the state of Israel precise guidance weapons to destroy Hamas. It's not about Palestinians, you dumbass AOC. And in fact, I called your office and left you a message asking you if you would send me comments in advance. AOC, will you publicly denounce Hamas? I really gotta ask. Any politician, including the infamous Bernie fucking Sanders, the anti-Semite above all, needs to know that these people must go. If you live in Vermont, if you live in New York, you must recall these are morons. These are people that are inflating and causing our country to tear apart. If BDS, Black Lives Matter, BLM, they all wish death to Israel. Now, I don't know about you, but when I look at her face, she says one more second, I am a scumbag. I am a dirtbag. And you know what? We've got to stop these people. You must email. You must call everyone that you know in New York and say, AOC must go. Ho, ho, ho. This woman jumps in front of elderly to get injections to prevent the spread of COVID. She is a young woman. She's not even 40 years old. She's barely 30 years old. Why the hell are we still supporting people that support the Democratic Socialists of America? If I remember correctly, didn't we go after these people who wish the death to America, the free society her parents fled Puerto Rico to come into? She wants to include Puerto Rico into this awesome country and give them electoral rights, voter rights, and make them the next state. But yet she is about divisiveness. She is about hatred. She is about the demonic viewpoints of everyone like her. I would like to call you, anyone listening anywhere in the world, send a message, send it to her. Don't be ashamed. Don't be scared. Your opinion is allowed. And if you are a Bernie supporter, if you are a wonderful Rashid Tlaib, who's afraid to say that she's against Hamas and she condemns Hamas because she's afraid. Aura, you said who? There's a woman in the house named Rashid Tlaib.
Rashida Tlaib. She is originally born in the West Bank, immigrated to the United States, and has crapped all over the life in the United States. She cried in the last time that she couldn't see her grandmother when she wanted to visit Israel. She has consciously been anti-Semitic with her tweets, anti-Israel with her tweets, and frankly anti-American with everything else she does, along with the rest of the squad.
You know, this squad is anti-American. And you know what? I'm focusing on this woman. This woman is evil, pure, utter evil. How in the world do we elect a scumbag like this? 14th district. Pay attention. It's up to you to remove her. She must be impeached. She is seditious. She wants death to the American way. She is more visceral than any previous person in politics, including Stalin. I compare her to Adolf Hitler, Mussolini. This is how they look as they come of age. We must get rid of her. Well, I got to stop because
Stuart, I gotta tell you, you focused on the recent AOC, but let me remind everybody that AOC, since she's been elected, has promoted socialism to the nth degree, saying that's better than capitalism. She's refused Amazon's entry into New York, which would have generated how many thousands of jobs? She ranted about how she went to the border and cried on the fence, calling about how badly the children are being treated at the border. And yet, surprisingly, under the Biden administration, she hasn't visited the border one time, nor cried at the fence one time. The sad part is that, ladies and gentlemen, the people of New York, 14th District, we love you. We just don't understand what you saw in Ocasio-Cortez because, frankly, she's going to send you guys into the poorhouse. Because if it was up to her, you'd all be poor. Because what she believes in is one thing. She wants everybody to be poor, just like Venezuela. She thinks it's remarkable. Folks, it's time to send the message, the tweets, the Facebooks, the messages, the petitions, to stop this form of anti-Americanism, because that's exactly what Ocasio-Cortez, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Bernie Sanders, and the rest of that wing are doing. They are destroying the fabric in which the United States was founded upon, and they will stop at nothing to destroy it. Israel is just an example, but what's next? Stuart, let me take over from here right now, if I may, because I've got my 7 minutes I'd like to get in here, please, which is an interesting segue. And I'll talk about Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and the rest of the squad in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen, on Wednesday, I want to thank you all very much for sharing our rant. It was a very passionate one on my part. Stuart was very aggravated in terms of where this was going. And I want to appreciate the thousands of people who shared and liked and commented all about this rant. So while I crapped all over the world, I would like to tell you why I want to say thank you to several people. Now, the problem with media today is that the left-wing agenda is absolutely disgusting. Okay? It's obvious. It's blatant. And frankly, I'm going to take a quote from a journalist who said, journalism is not campaigning. Because that's exactly what has been happening in the media. The recent Israel-Hamas conflict was about campaigning for Palestinians. It wasn't about reporting the truth. It was about campaigning. All wrong, mind you. And it isn't about me calling it out. I want to give thanks to Australian broadcasters such as Rowan Dean, such as Chris Kenny, who had the audacity to call out the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, CNN, BBC, and a slew of others, especially Rowan Dean, who talked about how distorted the entire presentation of the Israel-Hamas conflict was. Moreover, Chris Kenny did the same thing. And it was his quote about his thing talking about apparently they don't understand. Journalism isn't about telling everybody to be pro-Palestinian. You're not campaigning. You're supposed to report the facts. Unbiased, but it didn't matter. Thankfully, we only had a handful of people on this side of the pond. Rex Murphy from the National Post, who's been constantly ripping apart his own publication and other Canadian public media because the media across this country has gone blatantly anti-Israel. He's called them out. The Toronto Star, who's nowhere near my favorite, actually permitted this article to be promoted about how the one-sided media coverage is actually fueling anti-Semitism in Canada. Hey, one-sided media. That includes the Toronto Star, by the way. But at least they reported that. Wow, what a concept. The Atlantic, which is also a left-wing publication, even they were talking about, a former AP reporter was talking about, hey, the media's got it wrong. And where I thought Fox News would be a little bit more helpful, they got a little bit. And now Katie Pavlich is talking about calling out the New York Times and the Washington Post about their coverage. But imagine it had to start in Australia to point out the fallacies in the media, the campaigning. And I want to thank all the reporters, and I probably missed I missed a whole bunch of them, who had the intestinal fortitude to tell the truth, to not lie, to not hide behind a campaign, to call it out as it is. If you want to criticize Israel, which all the reporters all said unilaterally, it is fine and democratic to criticize governments. But it is wrong to side with the group at the expense of another. And that is exactly what media has done, to the extent that this type of journalism has spread hate globally. There are riots, there are attacks on people because of this form of journalism. Congratulations to the left-wing media. You've incited racial violence globally because you were trying to push an agenda. You were campaigning again, just like you did in the 2020 election. You're campaigning. Wrong. Stuart, let me wrap up with one more point, please.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. There are petitions floating around to petition media to cease and desist from this form of media hatred. And if they don't want to listen, cut the cord. Stuart?
I think that's what is something that also we're forgetting, is that the media is responsible. And if they're inciting violence, unlike Amazon, Facebook, and Twitter, they are not immune for prosecution.
Agreed.
Reporters can be held accountable and should. And I'm asking all of those to vote and get excited in the 14th district to throw AOC out amongst the band of evil. I ask you to write demands of lawyers and news stations to be responsible. The poor people that are running around, jumping out of cars, who claim to be Palestinians. I think, David, there's a new video. I think we've got to put it on our Rant page that was filmed 17 minutes I
It
think
wasn't. I got to tell you, folks, that video.
the history
Yeah,
of where this conflict comes from in the 3,333 years of where it all goes. And I challenge everyone to, David put it on our Facebook page, therantnetwork.com. And I challenge anyone that has any objection or misbelief to watch this video. That's been fact checked. That is only matter of historical fact. That is unarguably the truth. Something that the media doesn't want you to see, but we're going to post it because I want this to go viral. And you know what, guys? It is so important that you share, you like, and you promote what we're ranting about, because we're giving it fair, honest, and unsponsored. I'm not being paid for this, nor is David. You know what? We are proud to be American and Canadian. We're proud to be part of society that wants to see positive change and not negative change. We wish health and happiness to everyone from all race, colors, and creeds, which is not what the visceral left will want you to do.
Nor the media. And by the way, folks, one of the saddest thing, and if you watch any of the interviews that I was just talking about, one commentator said the saddest part about all this is that there is no excuse for the journalism today. All you need to do is look on Google to find facts. Ladies and gentlemen, we have spent the better part of the week ripping apart the media, ripping apart, because we believe that there have to be better things out there. And as people have been commenting, you know what? If you don't want to sign the petition, then don't tell your local, when they show up at your door for ad dollars, say no. Cut the cord. Watch the news that really matters. You could find it. It's out there. There are many more outlets today than ever before that are reporting the facts. And for the left-wing politicians that are out there that are looking to destroy the countries that we both live in, it's up to us. We are going to have an election in Canada very soon. There will be a midterm election in 2022. Send the messages today to your politicians. With that, folks, we're going to wrap up the week. We wish you all a wonderful week. On Monday, Stuart, so COVID's pretty much on its way out the door. And yet, for those of you who paid university tuition or maybe even private school tuition, you might have done education schooling from home, and yet you paid full fare.
Yep. And even as a taxpayer for the public schools that are governed by the state and by the federal government, we also paid in Canada and the US.
So the question is, should the schools be doing something? Should the schools be crediting us? We're going to talk about that on Monday. So I want to wish all my Canadian viewers happy Victoria Day weekend, but we will be back here on Monday. Wishing you all the best. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay well, stay safe, please.